A lot of people don't know you need to be a fully licensed real estate agent to be an auctioneer.
Really?
You can't just be an auctioneer.
Right.
So you need your certificate, whatever it is. So I'm a class 1 agent. I could go open up my own agency tomorrow with my own trust account, property management. The thing about auctioneering, no one's waiting for you to walk through the door to give you your first auction. You got to go out and earn it, right?
Yep.
And the thing about experience, the only thing you can't buy in the supermarket is you got to go out and earn it. There's more bidders, buyers, families, mums and dads, investors in the market than there is product.
Yep.
As long as that remains the case, if you had the only property in Sydney for sale, you'd be a very popular one, wouldn't you? And imagine how many people you have there bidding.
Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me in another episode of the Mortgage Chat. I'm your host, Tony Shah, and today I have someone that's in the pinnacle of his career, a driving force to the industry, someone that loves the orange tie. I have no one other than Michael Garofolo. Thanks for joining me, buddy.
Pleasure, Tony. Thank you for having me.
So Michael, can you tell me a bit about yourself, a bit about the industry?
Yeah.
How long have you been working there for?
Yep. So I'm 40 years old. I grew up in hospitality. I guess my background is wedding receptions, takeaway shops, restaurants, waitering, essentially is what I did. I was the black sheep of the family. I guess after school, I got into finance, and I started doing mortgage broking, believe it or not.
Nice.
I had a lot, much longer hair back then.
Yeah.
I was on top of Wynyard Station for the Commonwealth Bank in the city. I think it's a Fitness First now, or F45, whatever they call it, right?
Yep.
And I was doing home loans. This is like... I'm 40, so I finished 2000, early 2000s. So it was in one of those property market booms just after the Olympics. And interest rates then were about 4.995%, 6%, not too far what they are now. Anyway, so I got into that. And I was quite good at it, quite successful, went up the ranks. I was writing, good money back then, probably nothing compared to now because obviously property prices. And then I was kind of gotten into stockbroking. And my interest got into financial planning.
Yeah.
So from from mortgage broking, I did a diploma and an advanced diploma of financial planning.
Yep.
And then I went and worked at the stock exchange.
Right.
So I was on the equities market. So I was we called it market control. Basically what's trading right now between 10 and 4 p.m., the cash market. And then I got into the futures market. Now, obviously I loved it. I really enjoyed it. But then I started doing the graveyard shift where basically I'd start at 11 at night and I'd finish 8 in the morning.
Because you're working
So
different
I was
markets.
trading through Asia, Europe, America.
Yeah.
New Zealand would kick in at 4:30 and then I'd go home.
Yep.
That's great when you're young and single, but get married and have a kid, and let me tell you, it just didn't work, right?
Yeah.
So I had a bit of a Jerry Maguire moment. And this is probably in my early 30s. My eldest, who's now 9, was just born. Well, she's 9 and a bit, and I'm 40 and a bit. So I would have been 31, whatever.
Yep.
And then I kind of just literally packed up my bags and said, thanks, no thanks. And I left. I walked out. Done.
Wow.
Because I just knew that if I didn't make the break, I never would.
Yep.
So I went back to hospitality because that's what I knew. I had to pay the bills. That was my bread and butter.
Yep.
And I said, okay, what's the next step? I'm 30 now. We're living in a 2-bedroom apartment in Liberty Grove. I've got a newborn. I want to make sure that whatever decision I make, and a lot of the decisions I make aren't, don't be wrong, you need money to live in this world, cost of living, expensive city, but I don't like to make the decisions just based on money. If that was the case, I would have stayed at the stock exchange, let me tell you.
Correct.
Because I was on a good salary, I was a good wicket, I was going up the ranks, I was in management. But anyway, broke that, went to hospitality, and I said, okay, what could I do? Now, I'm a good speaker. I can talk. And I'm great with numbers.
Yep.
So when I went and bought my first property, which is in Concord, which we live in now, we bought it as an investment, knock down, rebuild.
Yep.
I remember just going around and I was like, seeing these auctioneers. I'm going, what's this auctioneering about?
Yeah.
Okay. As I said, my father-in-law, Ross Mussel, works at Radenhorn Concord. So I knew real estate, and I thought, you know what? He had a good work-life balance. He could work from home. He could travel around. And I like to interact. I like dealing with people. I'm not one of those people that can just sit in a cubicle Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 on my own. I need an outlet. I need to talk. I've got that kind of energy, if you know what I mean. So that worked well. So real estate, bought a property, saw auctioneering. I thought, you know what? I think I could do this.
Yep.
I could do. I was public speaking didn't bother me. I'd done it because of my wedding reception background through my family. My dad was an MC. I'd done a bit of I still do MC gigs for family and friends from time to time. Don't promote it because obviously everyone starts calling you.
Yeah.
And then I'll never be home. Straight after auction Saturday night, in the city doing a wedding, but it's all good.
Yep.
So I thought, you know what, I could do this. So whilst I was doing hospitality, I went through Brian Cannon at Think Real Estate in Carlton.
Okay.
I did because a lot of people don't know you need to be a fully licensed real estate agent to be an auctioneer.
Really?
You can't just be an auctioneer.
Right.
So you need your certificate, whatever it is. So I'm a class 1 agent. I could go open up my own agency tomorrow with my own trust account, property management. Not that I intend to. Don't worry, guys. Don't panic. But yeah, to be an auctioneer accreditation. So did the course. I jumped in the car for 6 months with Tom Panos.
Yep.
So a bit of work experience.
Yeah,
Basically, Saturday, I was with him, suit and tie, dressed up, and I was basically his assistant. Like I go around Sydney now with an assistant, and I was his assistant. Helped him with the bids, the bidding, took some photos, video, social media. And I learned, and Tom's really good because Tom teaches you not only what you should do, but also what you shouldn't do.
Yep.
And for those that know Tom and watch his podcast, he's very black and white. He's not grey. He's not, there, gentle, pat on the back. He's quite, very straightforward, which I like.
Yep.
No BS. And then after 6 months, basically, I had to go out and do my own thing because, the thing about auctioneering, no one's waiting for you to walk through the door to give you your first auction. You got to go out and earn it, right?
Yep.
And the thing about experience, the only thing you can't buy in the supermarket is you got to go out and earn it. So I did that. I said, okay, I noticed there was this novice auctioneering competition that REI New South Wales ran. Okay. And the REI, the NAC comp. So I said, okay, let's go do that. Spoke to some of the firms, the auction houses, Jesse Davidson from Auction Works. Obviously, I spoke to Paul Millett at the time, Andrew Damien Cooley from Cooley Auctions, the Cannons from Think Real Estate, Matt Shaloub from Under the Hammer. Went and did the comp. I went to the first heat in the East. I won that. Then I went to the state final and I won that.
Yep.
And the next day, I think Damien offered me the job, gave me the tie, mate, and the rest is history.
Right.
I'd say we're about 8 years on now. I'm
Nice.
a partner in the business. And things are going well.
Right. So you went from hospitality
Hospitality,
to finance,
to finance,
back to hospitality,
back to hospitality,
and now an auctioneer.
and now an auctioneer.
So you touched a bit about you have family in real estate.
I do have family
Right.
in real estate.
So why did you choose the auctioneer path and not the actual real estate path?
The excitement, the thrill, the adrenaline. If you think about my stockbroking background, you think about the days when you had a market, right, and you had a floor. Now it's all virtual. It's all, like the Matrix, everyone's plugged in. But it used to be bids and offers. You'd be selling stock, CBA, Macquarie Bank, BHP, and the offer would be, 46.10, and this would be the thing. And like you'd be controlling it like a sea, the market was. It was like an energy, like a force. And I guess auctioneering isn't that different, is that the product or the stock is the home, right? So I'm selling the asset, the home, and the market's there in front of me, and there's bids and there's offers, and I've got a reserve where my seller's at, and just controlling that. I'm quick-witted, I'm good with numbers, I like to deal with people, and I just found it exciting, yeah.
Good. And so what areas are you predominantly focusing on right now?
Yeah, look, if I can kind of encapsulate it, Greater Western Sydney, and that is such a massive area,
Correct.
but if you think about the Northwest, the Great West and the Southwest, and you start, like, I kind of say, like, I live in Concord. I don't go generally east of Concord. I tend to say the west of Concord. So from Concord to Parramatta, even out to Penrith, and anything north and south in between, as high as the Hawkesbury and probably as low as Liverpool,
Right.
in terms of geography. So I cover a massive region, and I clock up a lot of kilometres. I guess for those that follow me on social, it wouldn't be uncommon for me every week to do over 1,000 kilometres just driving around Sydney.
Really?
Yeah.
So how do you find the time to go from one end of Sydney to another end of Sydney?
Look, not easy. Toll roads help, let me tell you. Like, if you saw my toll bill,
Yeah.
it would scare you.
Yep.
M2, M4, M7, anything with the toll road. Otherwise, I'd never, the M8, the M5, they're magnificent now as well. So you can, if you use the toll roads, get around Sydney. Now, the other thing I tend to do is, not overbook myself. So I religiously try and book myself on an hour bounce. So what I do is I start my day, whether I start at 9 or 9:30, the next auction will be 10, 10:30. So I try and religiously give myself an hour bounce. Now, if I'm in the same suburb or around the corner, I don't need that time. But if I'm in Concord in the morning, right where I live, and I leave and my first auction's in North Ryde, that's 9:30. Well, the next auction, if it's, let's say, in Castle Hill, I know from North Ryde, I can jump on the M2, get up, off, get out of Borco, and then go to Castle Hill. an hour bounce. That gives me at least half an hour to call the auction and half an hour travel time in a perfect world.
Yep.
Auctions generally don't take half an hour,
Yep.
and I generally don't take half an hour travel time. So what I do find is that I'm getting out 15 minutes early.
Yep.
And I'm getting there 15 minutes early. So basically, I'll turn up to the auction 15 minutes before the start, get in there, meet with the agent, meet with the vendors, start on time. Might take 15, 20 minutes, and I'm back in the car. It's another half an hour drive.
Yep.
So don't get me wrong. It doesn't always work out logistically, but that's how I try and operate my days. Yeah.
Okay. So you just touched a bit about you have an assistant.
Yeah.
Not a lot of auctioneers have assistants. So,
Yeah.
why would you have an assistant?
I honestly don't know. As an auctioneer, if you are doing if you're only doing 1-2 auctions, okay. But if you start doing, anywhere to, half a dozen plus auctions on a Saturday, I really don't know how you operate without one. Like they're my lifesavers. I wouldn't know what I'm doing without my assistant because they help me they assist the agent with the registrations, for starters, right? Also, they help with the bidding. They take care of the bids. They take care of my social media, my photos and all that. They make sure that the reserve gets uploaded, that the bids are right, that the result is correct. They also act that, let's say I'm at an auction, right? And I'm running late. They already know what the travel time is. They know where the next destination is. So they'll call up that agent, hey, Tony, we're just caught at this auction here. We're going to be running a bit 10 minutes late. It's not ideal being late, but rather than me waiting to finish the auction, jump in the car and call you when it's already late, if I give you the heads up, well, then you can let everyone know. And whilst, again, not ideal, you can plan and prepare. Ladies and gentlemen, I just spoke to the auctioneers running a bit late. So they really help me, without them, I don't know, I could be... I definitely couldn't do the volume that I'm doing without their assistance. And it's also for my own sanity. You imagine being in the car, like half the day, like I do a 12-hour day on a Saturday, 6 hours of that is in the car. Imagine being there on your own for 6 hours just with your own thoughts. They're almost like my psychiatrist, my venting, my cone of silence that you can just talk to them, get a bit of rebound and that. So, couldn't operate without one.
So, what, mate, look, auction days.
Yep.
Everyone thinks only Saturdays are auction days.
Yep.
Tell me what other days can be an auction day.
Yeah.
What you do anyway.
Biggest misconception is that auctions have to be on a Saturday and they have to be at 11 a.m. That's prime time, apparently, just before lunch, whatever. I've got this motto: anytime, anywhere, only auction, only Cooley, of course. That's as we say. But time and date does not matter.
Because if they want to buy, they want to buy, right?
There's plenty of properties on a Saturday I've passed in, right?
Yep.
Okay. But if you've got the right product at the right price, the buyers will there. Case in point, last night I was at Fairfield Heights, did an auction. It's the middle of winter, almost, like June. We're mid-June. It was a 6 o'clock auction. We're outside. You can check on my social. It was 12 degrees. I had 14 regos. I had 74 bids. And we sold 100K over reserve.
74 bids.
74 bids. And it was 100K over reserve. Why? Because it was a Wednesday night at 6 o'clock? No. It didn't matter what time and date. The market was there because it saw value. Now, if that property wasn't marketed right and the agent didn't do a good job or the vendors were overpriced, you'd have no one there.
Correct.
Okay, I always say to my vendors, because I do vendor meetings as well. It's one of the other things I do or offer as a service, which a lot of other auctioneers don't, is I go out the week of and I meet with the vendors and I say, if your property was for sale for $1, there'd be a line from here to the Harbour Bridge. You put it at $10 million, the line will disappear quite quickly. So what's that telling you? That price is the driving force here. Don't get me wrong, we always talk about the 3 Ps, price, presentation, promotion. Normally people present their homes quite well. Promotion, well, that should be done through your marketing, through your agency, through realestate.com, domain, what have you, Facebook, social. But ultimately, it comes down to the price. And the market always dictates price, in my opinion. And when the market no longer sees value, it stops bidding. So last night, at 954,000, great, 100K over reserve, but the market still stopped. Didn't go 955, didn't go 960. It said, that's it. We're not paying another more. So time and date does not matter.
How many bidders did you have last night?
14.
14
regos.
74.
74 bids, 14 regos.
Wow. On a Wednesday night.
On a Wednesday night. Again, I do auctions on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, why don't I do Monday to Friday? Because they're bad days? No, because at some point my wife will leave me if I'm never home. Like that's the only. Like I got someone rang me today to do an auction tomorrow night, and I just say no. Oh, but it's business. How do you knock it back? Because at some point you got to have a work-life balance, which is coming back to my stock market days. Why I left because I was never home.
Or you just ring up Damien. Hey, Damien, got an auction on Friday night for you.
I gave it to one of my colleagues. Correct. Yeah, Jake Moore actually, who's just had a baby. Congratulations, Jake and Marissa.
Nice. Mate, he's probably not sleeping right now, right? Probably hadn't slept yet, right?
Welcome to fatherhood.
I know, mate. So, right, let's talk about Auctioneer as general. 2022, that was the peak. Okay, 2022, that was the peak. Now, prior to that, call it the areas Rouse Hill.
Yep.
Call it Stanhope Gardens.
Yep.
Call it Glenwood.
Yep.
Killyville.
Yep.
Around those areas. Yeah.
Yep.
Auction wasn't really that big back then.
Correct.
All right. I would say the majority of the property that was sold back then were private treaties.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. You people now, after COVID, mate, pretty much every property has been sold as an auction. Yeah?
Yep.
Why do you think that's the dynamics of that change?
Yeah. Simple reason, and I talk to a lot of people about this. Economics 101, supply, demand. Okay. Now, competition. An auction, if I've got no registered bidders, like last night I had 14, I had competition. If I had 0, well, I always say I'm the maestro, I'm the conductor, but without musicians, I can't make music, right? So I need buyers. They're your musicians in the analogy, right? They're the ones that are doing the bidding, right? Making the songs. So what I've noticed is that you look at Sydney, you look at population growth, you look at immigration, you look at lack of housing, those areas, like, everyone wants to live in Bondi, not everyone can afford. So we move a little bit further north, south, west. And now we've moved even further northwest, Great West, southwest, right? And these buyers are getting there and they're having now to compete. There's more bidders, buyers, families, mums and dads, investors in the market than there is product.
Yep.
And as long as that remains the case, if you had the only property in Sydney for sale, you'd be a very popular one, wouldn't you? And imagine how many people you have there bidding. Now, if you had 100 properties for sale and only one buyer, auctions wouldn't work.
100%.
So it's 100%. Economics 101, it's supply, demand, it's competition. And those areas now, which let's say 10 years ago weren't as attractive, weren't as desirable, didn't have the infrastructure that they now do. Now they've got the schools, the shops, the parks, the public transport, the hospitals. People will live there because they don't have to travel, particularly now post-COVID, which I think is a lot of talk. You don't need to jump on a train for an hour to get in the city to have a good job. A lot of people I've noticed post-COVID think, I can still do whatever blue, white-collar career I want, and I can still live in the ponds, in Stanhope Gardens. As long as I've got a good internet connection, Zoom, and all that. So that's another reason why. So people say, why am I living in a shoebox here, killing myself? I'll live out there. I'll have a bit more space, maybe a backyard, room for the dog, chuck in a pool, And that's what's created that competition, I believe. And I think there's also now, even furthermore, you look further with these other surrounding suburbs where we look back 10 years ago to what the ponds was. I think you got to start looking 10 years forward. What's the next ponds? What's the next area that's going to be that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, right? Because prior to COVID, look, only areas like Sheffield, call it Sheffield,
Inner West,
Inner West, Inner East, they were your auction areas, right? But now slowly it trickled down to Parramatta-ish, now to the hills.
Well, and further to more, what I've noticed and why I've branched my business further south is in Fairfield, and between Fairfield and Liverpool, let's call it the parks. Bosley Park, Adenza Park, St. John's Park. I can keep going here, right?
Like the park sounds nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the parks area, when I first started, again, like the Northwest, like the hills, auction wasn't the main method of sale. Do you know what I mean? And now that culture's changed. Again, immigration. A lot of migrants have come and they've settled in Fairfield, right? And obviously, the more people you have, the more population. Again, economics 101, supply demand. It's creating competition. Where generally, like in, let's call it Cecil Hills, Bonnyrigg, Middleton Grange, you really didn't do auctions. Austral. Now, some of my best results, my best auctions are down in that southwest region.
Yeah, right. Really?
The people are there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Mate, so let's go about, the market has been going up and down the last few years. And I don't want to talk about specific numbers of how many auctions you do every week because it's very hard to ascertain. Okay. So let's talk about at the peak of the market. Let's say, for example, at the peak of the market that, call it just after COVID, 2020. Okay. You're doing let's say out of 10.
Yep.
This out of 10, you're doing 9 out of 10. Yeah.
Clearance rate?
No, don't. Let me change that a bit. Let's say at the peak of the market, you're doing 100% auctions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
100% work rate.
Yep.
Till now.
Yep.
What percentage are you sitting on right now?
Oh, compared to that, and this is the thing, right? When I look at my career, and I'm quite analytical, I'm good with numbers, and I always compare to like previous corresponding period. What did I do last month in May compared to what I did last May?
Yep.
Yeah, and the May before. When you look at my graph from the start, and I've got the numbers from when I started till now. There's this big standing, let's call it center point tower that stands above. What's that? That was COVID. That was the COVID year. To me, that is the exception to the rule. That is so I try not to use that as my barometer for success because, you know, if I compared, I think every year going forward, I don't think I'll ever have a year as good as I did, not only in terms of volume, but in terms of clearance rate than that COVID period because it was the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Everyone was at home because they were forced to.
Yep.
Money was cheap.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And it was easy to get.
Correct.
And you could afford it. So everyone was paying hand over fist, you know, that fear of missing out. And the market was just running crazy. So you'd be crazy not to auction because you're just leaving money on the table and people were at home. And obviously the advent of the online auction took off as well, where it was like eBay. Everyone was at home bidding at home for these properties and things were flying out the door. So definitely I'm not at that level, let's say, in terms of the COVID years. But if I look at my career from where I started and I ignore that standout, my career's gone from strength to strength and continues to grow. But yes, we're not seeing the level of competition, the level of volume, the level of clearance rate. But dare I say, unless you have a repeat of what happened at COVID, maybe we never will see that again.
Yep.
But you know what? That's okay because I said I think that was just the standout. It was the exception to the rule. But things are good. And this is, you know, people say, oh, how's the market? How's the market? If you can always compare to the absolute peak, you're never going to be that good. And then you start saying, oh, we're down from there, we're down from there. But yeah, okay. But what have property prices done since COVID? Well, we've had, since May 2022, 13 interest rate rises. And the market did take a dip.
Yep.
But the most recent numbers tell us we're actually back numerically as a figure to what the average Sydney price was before the interest rate rise. So that tells me how resilient is the Sydney property market.
It's crazy.
That in 13 interest rate rises, we're actually back to the same price point.
It's crazy.
And she won't stop there. I always say to people, property prices only go one way in the fullness of time.
Yep.
That is north. Since Captain Cook landed till now, Sydney has only gone that. Like my dad bought in Concord in 1981 for 125 grand and they said he overpaid. When are you ever going to buy in Concord for 125 grand? Never. Never, my friend.
Not even a car park.
Correct. So
Right.
what I'm trying to say is, you know, like you talk to anyone in the street in your neighborhood that's been there a while, 10, 20 years, you know what they say? I should have bought two. But at the time, they thought they overpaid.
Yeah.
But you just got to get in.
Well, let's touch a bit of that, right? Why do you think, even though interest rates have increased 13 times, you see it take a little dip, and all of a sudden it just went back up? Why do you think that happened?
And again, short memories, right? Our interest rates have gone up 13 times. I just said that. I know that. But what base did they come off? 0.1%? That was never going to be the long-term fiscal policy. Everyone knew that. What were interest rates before COVID?
Correct. Right, it was
1 or 2% off what they are now.
Yep.
I was doing home loans for the Commonwealth Bank in the early 2000s. The interest rate was 5-6% then. That's what I'm paying 6% now, give or take.
Yep.
So really, my interest rate's back. If you look, and this is the thing, you got to look at historically. We're comparing it to how can people afford interest rates? Well, they did before. Again, not saying it's easy at the moment. I'm not saying people aren't doing it tough, but everyone compares back to COVID. There was life before COVID.
Yep.
A couple of billion years, apparently, according to science. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, rent. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I heard something on the radio on the way here. Rents since 2020 or 2021 have jumped 50%. But hang on, you're using the COVID moratorium on rents as the baseline of your argument. My dad, right, had a property in Liberty Grove. He rented out in 2010. And I know, and I'm speaking from actual fact. I'm not making up hypotheticals. My dad had a rental property. He rented it out in 2010 for $500. It went back to $500 during COVID. He went back 10 years from 2010 to 2020 because of COVID. Now it's back up to where it should have been, you know, at like, let's call it $650, $700. You can say, oh, but it's jumped $200. It's jumped 40%. Hang on. it went down 40% because of COVID, and now it's really back to where it should have been.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of mindful when people start saying, oh, how are people doing it? It's because, guys, if you actually really look at it, we're probably at an interest rate there or thereabouts of where we should be, and kind of back to where we were in terms of that. Now, inflation has had another added impact, I think, not so much interest rates, but the cost of your petrol, the cost of your insurance, the cost of your healthcare, your childcare, your food, groceries, energy, electricity, gas. That's all gone up. And I think that's where people are hurting a lot more.
Yeah. I'm going to ask this question. You can decide to not answer it or not. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, up to you. All right. So you touched on interest rate a fair bit just then, right?
Yep.
You know, during COVID, just after COVID, interest rates were, mate, you get rates for high ones, low twos. Yeah?
CBA had a 3-year fixed rate at 1.99%.
Exactly right. So people that would purchase properties back then, the first property back then, it was cheap for them.
Yep.
They overcapitalised. They may overpay. Who knows, right?
When the market was running 30%, who cares if you overpay? The market will correct it for you.
Correct. So let me ask you this question.
Yep.
Now the rates have free-folded in a way from one after the fixed rate
from 2% to 6
to 6.
Yep.
Okay. And people can't afford it because they've got a big loan.
Yep.
Are you seeing much people needing to sell because they cannot afford?
Yes, I am. I can't lie. And say no. There is distressed selling, let's call it. It's not through the roof, though. Yep. It's not like, you know, I remember, again, you're in the mortgage broking business, but I think CBA's bad debt on their books was something like 1.5%-2% back in the day. You know, it's not 10%. Like 10% of my volume isn't people. There are people who are in a situation where it's distressed selling, and I feel for them, you know, because the banks are circling, and the banks, you know, everyone kicks the banks, but I think the thing is, you don't miss one home loan repayment and the bank get out.
Correct.
Takes about 6-9 months before it gets to that point. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So the banks are very accommodating. At the end of the day, the bank wants you to keep the loan because in 30 years, you're going to pay them back double. They're not silly. But at some point, if you can't afford it, guys, it is what it is.
Yep.
So in answer to your question, yes, I can't lie. There is more distressed selling since, I guess, interest rates have gone up by threefold. But it's not like, you know, 1 in 10 of my auctions that I'm doing is because they have to.
Yep.
Generally, it's birth, death, marriage.
Yep.
They're the main 3 reasons.
Yep.
Sea change, tree change. So you're moving interstate, you're moving overseas. Divorce, unfortunately. Yeah, they're the main things that people don't sell just for the sake of selling. Who wants to pay stamp duty or capital gains tax or whatever it might be? But then it's like, well, I'm living in a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, and I've got my mum and dad living with me. Like, and that's something that has changed intergenerational living, particularly in the Northwest, where you have a demographic from the subcontinent. And that's not me being like clever or racist, but predominantly Indian or the subcontinent. They have a culture where 3 generations will live under the same roof. Okay. So do the Asians.
Yeah,
like a lot of Asians families I see will have grandparents, parents, and grandchildren.
100%.
You know, so you can have a house and granny, but now they want, you know, double story, they want 5 bedrooms, and it's funny, you walk into a house in the Northwest, it's 5 bedrooms, it's like, is it a downstairs bedroom? Great.
Yeah.
Does it have a shower? No, I'm out of here.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, do you know what I mean?
I've seen that.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Because my parents can't go up and down the stairs because the hips and the knees aren't what they used to be. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers your questions.
And that's what we're saying, right? People are slowly from the inner West are slowly moving out here.
Yeah.
Right? Because they don't want to live in a 2-3 bedroom apartment.
No.
They can spend the same amount of money and buy something out West.
Yeah.
Bigger, backyard, more bedrooms.
Correct.
All that.
Correct. Like I'm in Concord, right? And now for the kind of home that I'm selling in the ponds on a 550, 600 block, with less than 10 years old, that's 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms with 1 downstairs and a theatre room and a study, 2.5. You put that in Concord, we're talking 4 or 5 million.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I hear what you're saying. And I've had many discussions with my wife. Let's sell up, move out here and buy 2 and call it a day.
Yeah,
but anyway, it is what it is, man. Well, lifestyle choice.
Let's touch a bit on Concord.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're talking about $4 or $5 million purchases, right? Knockdown rebuild, brand new home. Dib Chidiak's probably one of the main sellers around the area.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's quite prominent in the area.
Selling, you know, these few $1 million houses.
Even some 5-6 million. Like if they're what I just described, brand new with basement parking and a pool, you're talking 5-6 mil.
Where are these people getting money from?
Tony, I don't know. It's a great question. I don't know. Like, sometimes I'm standing there at an auction, and you've sold it for 3, 4, 5 million.
Yep.
And 3, 4 people have missed out. Yeah, they weren't at the price point that the highest bidder, but they weren't far off.
Yep.
And that just tells you, like, let's say we sold it for 3.5, and 3 or 4 other people have missed out. They've all got at least $3 million to spend.
Yeah.
What I see being at the coalface is there's a lot of money out there.
Yeah.
Whether
Cash.
that's old money, whether that's new money, whether it's, you know, the bank of mum and dad, whether it's money from overseas.
Yep.
I don't know, because I don't ask to see their bank account.
Yep.
But it's a good point that you
crazy.
raised.
It's
Yeah, it
crazy.
is crazy.
Right.
There's a lot of money out there.
I've only done one loan that's more than $10 million in my life. The last 10 years.
Yep.
It was I think it was a $12.4 million purchase.
Wow.
Near Hunters Hill.
Yeah. Hunters Hill, great area.
He only borrowed $4 million.
Yeah. He borrowed a third roughly.
Yeah, he only borrowed $4 million.
Yeah.
But anything apart from that, the next line up, it was a $2.5 million purchase. Anything, I haven't seen anything above $2.5 million for a very long time.
Yeah. There is a redistribution of intergenerational wealth. You think about the baby boomers, right? And my parents, God bless them, may they live forever, you know? But my grandfather came out to this country and they moved to Leichhardt, Haberfield. A lot of the Italians went to Leichhardt and Haberfield. They bought what they could, they rented. But one of the big things that not only the Italians, but the ethnics, the Greek, the Lebanese, the Asian, that what they did was they bought property. You know, they saw value in bricks and mortar, maybe because through lack of education, they really didn't understand the stock market or anything else. They just knew bricks and mortar, it's safe, you can live in it, you can rent it out. How can you go wrong? You know, it was a simple way, but it was effective. And then they bought these properties. And you think about my grandfather and the properties that he bought, then they've passed since now, God rest their souls. Then that goes down to their 3 kids, which my dad was one of. He's bought property in that time. That's gone up in value. He's just got a boost, money from heaven, let's call it. Then obviously one day, you know, in the fullness of time, that money will then be redistributed between me and my brother and my sister. And then all of a sudden, you've got your property which you've bought. You've gotten this windfall, you know, through your inheritance, then you can maybe afford that $6 million property. So I think there's a bit of intergenerational wealth redistribution. You know, if that kind of makes sense.
100%. 100%.
And you got to think, particularly if mum and dad, you know, bought in the 50s, 60s and 70s in Concord for 125 grand, they sell now, capital gains tax free, principal place of residence. Mate, it's a big hit in your pocket. You know what I mean? You can go out and start doing different things. It changed your life. You know?
Okay. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Look, Michael, as a mortgage broker,
Yeah.
I prefer my clients to buy as a private treaty.
Yep.
Not auction.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because you want them to pay less.
No. Not because I want to pay
because
less.
you want them to pay less.
But it gives me time to get the loan fully approved.
Yeah.
Evaluation.
Yep.
If anything happens,
Yep.
then hey, do you know what? I can pull out the sale. Of the auction, obviously the auction you can't pull out of the sale.
Yeah.
Once you win it, right? So
Yeah.
for all the sellers out there
Yep.
looking to sell their first home,
Yep.
what are the main benefits of auctioning your home rather than a private treaty?
All right. So I'm an auctioneer. So just full disclaimer, I'm going to be biased towards auctions and auctioneers. I think auctions is the most open, fair, transparent way to sell property. I'm going to lead with that. What do I mean by that? Okay, that property sold last night for 100K over reserve. If it's sold via private treaty, right? If it's sold via private treaty, you wouldn't know how much over reserve because there wasn't one. But how do you know you haven't overpaid? This is the funny thing that 14 people last night stood out in the freezing cold and saw their competition. Social proof. It's worth it. Not because I'm telling you, not because that's what the vendors want. Your competition is telling you. It's like when you walk past a restaurant, it's packed full of people. You know what? The food must be good. Let's go and eat. You walk past and it's empty. You know what? Ghost town. Let's try the next one. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I think a lot of people think, oh, I'd rather buy through private treaty. You're paying too much through auction. But you're relying, this is unfair to agents, but you're relying on the agent to tell you, oh, I've got another buyer who's willing to pay more. How do you know he does? You don't. So it's not open, fair, transparent.
Correct.
You don't know whether you've overpaid. You think you've paid more at auction. How do you know you didn't pay 200 grand more than where your next best buyer was? Now at auction, your next buyer is standing across the road from you or on the grass. You can see them. You know that you're only $1,000 behind. So again, the market always dictates price. That's my disclaimer about auctions. Now, in answer to your question, what's the advantage of the seller? Is that the question to go through auction?
What's the auction? Correct.
First, it reduces your days on market. There is every stat, every fact, every way you want to slice it, whether it sells at or whether it says sells before, at, or after auction. If you auction, you will sell your home faster on average. You can't argue with it. You cannot. The stats are there.
So what's the normal campaign on an
For,
auction?
well, let's call it let's call it a 4-week campaign.
Okay.
4 sevens, 28 days.
Okay.
28 days, right? 28 days. So you will generally, but what we do at Cooley's, every property that I didn't sell last Saturday, in the next 2 weeks, we go back and look to see what transacts. And what we see in our index is that the next 14 days are critical because you've had a 4-week campaign, right? It hasn't sold for whatever reason, right? But the clearance rate last week, I did 7 out of 70%. That means 3 out of 10 didn't sell.
Yep.
Okay. Even Don Bradman didn't have 100%,
Yep.
Strike rate. So 3 didn't sell. But the chances of those 3 selling in the next 2 weeks are higher than what it'd be if they were in a private treaty.
Right.
And the numbers don't lie.
Right.
So that's the main thing. Reduce your days on market. 1, no cooling off period. Okay. Which if the buyer doesn't like that, that's okay. I'm paid and representing the agent who's representing the vendor. So again, full disclaimer.
Yep.
So you can't pull out. No retreat, no surrender. In saying that, neither can the vendor. Now, everyone remembers the good old days of gazumping when
100%.
people used to come in over the top. Now, you're in a cooling off period. You're thinking, oh, beautiful. I'm in a 10-day cooling off. I know it's 5 days, but let's be honest, they're all 10 days now.
Yeah, correct. 10 days.
So it's 10-day cooling off. In that 10 days, you have the ability to pull out on 0.25. But if someone else comes in 10 days and makes that vendor a higher offer, he can pull out too.
Yep.
Here's your 0.25 back. He gave me an extra 20 grand. What do I care?
Yep.
And what are you going to do?
Because that still happens right
What
now.
are you going to do? That's not fair. But you wanted a cooling off period.
Yeah.
Works both ways. Now, if I drop the hammer and that vendor doesn't want to sell, I'm legally obligated under the legislation to bind the vendor. It's when the hammer drops, you've created the contract of sale, my friend.
Correct.
So it's both parties. Everyone thinks that the cooling off or not cooling off only applies to the buyer.
Yep.
No. So when you lock that seller in, on Monday, someone rings up the agent, I'll pay an extra 50 grand. He can't back out of the deal. So it works to your benefit too. Anyway, sorry.
Agree.
Yeah.
So how many auctions, how many properties are sold prior to auction are you seeing right now?
This is a good question. It's very different in my area as opposed to the east.
Right.
The appetite in the eastern suburbs where Damien and let's say Jake, Brianna Davis work, they're probably the 3 top of mine, amongst other auctioneers. But in the east, and I have colleagues that I work and train with who aren't necessarily Cooley auctioneers, but we talk, and they work in the east as well. The appetite to sell in the east is significantly higher than what it is in the West.
Right.
The West want their pound of flesh. They want to see a show. They want to run it.
Right, really?
They just do. Why is that? I don't know. Is the buyer or seller in the East more educated, more affluent, more savvy? I don't know if that's fair. I don't know if that's the reason why. But maybe it's just about their time poor, get the deal done, let's move on. Where the ones in the West, more blue collar, more tradies, less have gone onto that tertiary, university, whatever you call it, education. Seeing is believing, if that's the right way to put it. They want to see it. So So in answer to your question, I don't see a lot of sold priors. Like maybe 1 or 2, maybe less than. I wouldn't say 10%. Let's say somewhere between 10 and 20%. If I've got 10 auctions running, on a weekend, let's say 1 or 2 have sold prior. At best.
Because you want to go in on the action, mate. You want to go on the action.
I love it. Huh? I love it. Like I talk to these auctioneers that are in the East. They might book the same, but they're only calling 5 or 6.
Right.
Mate, if we go into the woods and we're lumberjacks, I want the biggest axe, I want the biggest tree. I want to go all day.
You want the show, mate.
I want to start at 9:30 and I want to call it. I'm not an auctioneer who wants to stay home and get 10 sold priors. I want to call the auction.
Yeah.
I want to run the show because that's what I do. That's what I love.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the kind of job that if you don't enjoy it, it's not a job where you can turn over just Monday to Friday, rock up and spin your wheels.
Yep.
It's got bedrooms and bathrooms and it's on a good block and it's around. If you ever see me in action, it's energy, it's high, it's pumped, it's let's do this. I'm excited. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, how many hours do you sleep a day?
Sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know, mate. I'm a night owl. That's probably my big. I like to stay up at night.
Yeah.
I like to
Because
stay
got all
up.
this energy, man. You must sleep too much or too many coffees.
I do have coffee, but I'm generally in bed by midnight and I'm up 6, 7 o'clock.
Wow.
Mate, I'm not a gym junkie. I'm not an early riser. The 5:30 a.m. club. My 5:30 a.m. club is the snooze button.
Yeah.
That's my. I don't. a lot of love to everyone out there that gets up and train, go for it. But I'm staying in bed, man. It's too cold. But yeah, 6-7 hours, I guess.
Yeah, mate. And you still got all this energy. What's going on?
I don't know, man. Just high on life. People ask me, what's the secret? Just high on life, man.
Mate, how many shots of coffee are you having a day?
I have a double in the morning. I have a double shot in the morning, and I have a piccolo in the afternoon.
Right.
So not ridiculous. Not ridiculous, but man, I've just I generally love what I do.
Yep. Good.
And I always say to people, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. But I also say when I'm talking to people, like we talk about auctions, we talk about private treaty, we talk about market trends. You may not necessarily agree with me, but for a second, do you doubt that I don't believe what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I believe what I'm saying, man, and I'm fully into it. So yeah, just got a passion for it, man.
Yeah, good. So mate, look, now for the sellers out there, okay, that selling with Rain and Horn, whoever you want to call it, okay.
Not McGrath. They don't use Cooley Auctions.
Oh, no, I was going to say.
No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. You can use McGrath. I don't want a lawsuit. Easy, John. Take it easy. It's fine. Use McGrath. Like, McGrath have a panel auctioneers. Right. Let me elaborate there. McGrath have a panel auctioneers that you need to be a McGrath auctioneer. So it's just a joke, guys. Take it easy. It's okay. We're all still friends.
So can vendors actually choose which auctioneers they want to use?
Ultimately, yes.
Okay.
I would say some agents maybe aren't as black and white as that. I'll leave it there. But ultimately, it's my house, it's my property. I can pick my agent and I can pick my auctioneer. Because if you turn around and tell the agent, it's either the guy I want or I'm getting someone else, let me tell you, that agent will change their tune instantaneously. So they'll say, oh, we have to this, we have to that. If you're the vendor and you're watching me right now, you pick your auctioneer. You don't have to pick me. That's okay. You pick who you want. But you get the right person representing your home, whoever that might be.
Well, because is there a misconception where I have to go with the auctioneer, the agent ones, right?
There is, yeah. I get a lot of vendors ring me up and say, oh, listen, we want to use you, but the agent said that we couldn't. They've already picked the agent. They've already booked the auctioneer. I'm not going to ruffle their feathers. I don't want to cause problems. You know what? Because that's it. They've made a decision. But ultimately, they'll make the vendor has the right to decide, up until the point of selling the home. Right. The vendor always decides.
Okay.
There's another thing too about, let's talk about the 10% rule for a second, right? Which I think you're probably aware of, about bidding guides. All right, let's not get too technical.
Yeah.
But the legislation, the 10% rule, the bidding guide, only applies to the agent, not the vendor.
Yep.
So if the house is worth 1 to 1.1,
okay,
10%, nice and easy, right? And we guide it 1 to 1.1. That doesn't mean the vendor has to set the reserve at 1 to 1.1. The vendor can turn up with a reserve of $4 million. Oh, how can he do that? Because it's their home. And they will ultimately decide what they sell it for.
The day before even auction, right? Is that correct?
The day of, you can sign the reserve. 5 minutes before I start. Generally, I like to go out and do a vendor meeting on a Wednesday, Thursday. I like to discuss the reserve and have it set, so that way they've got 2 or 3 nights to sleep on it, digest it. Because doing it on Saturday, I think emotions are running high. But what I'm just trying to say, back to your point, at the end of the day, the vendor owns the property, can select the agent, the auctioneer, the stylist, the photographer, how they're signboard, their photos. They're paying the bill. Who's paying the marketing? Who's paying the commission? You're paying the bill, man.
Exactly.
You get what you want.
Exactly. Cool. Mate, you've done auctioneer for what, 8 years now, did you say? 8?
Look, full time, 8 years.
8 years?
There was a little bit of training, and work and, whatever you want to call it, what's the word? Work experience. And, it took me a while just to get the license. But in terms of getting the Cooley tie, being out there, I'd say about 8 years,
Right, and you've done a little bit of training with Tom Panos, did you say?
I have, Tom Panos.
Because I've done a training session with Tom Panos once. At Concord. He's a very nice guy.
He is.
Right, so people that... Because he's a celebrity in the real estate world, right?
He is.
Even people that's not in the real estate world knows him as a bit of celebrity. Right? What is the most important thing you've learned from him so far?
Good question. And I'll say the Tom that you see on camera is not the Tom that is behind closed doors.
Right.
He does have a celebrity status. And he has, what's the right word, like not a persona, but he has a certain style that obviously in front of the camera he can turn on, but he's such the nicest, most down-to-earth kind 100%. Of person that you could ever meet. And he genuinely wants well. I think for anyone he talks to or trains, he just wants them to make more money. That's all he does. Generally wants them to make more money. What's the biggest thing I learned from him? No one will give it to you. You got to go out and earn it. No one's going to come and say, here's $1 million listing. Here's an auction. Here's a this. Everyone's, I think sometimes in the generation that we live in, It's like, what about me? Why didn't I get it? You know what? Stop feeling sorry. And this is Tom's words.
Yep.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Have a glass of cement. Harden up. Get out there and get it. Because no one's knocking on the door to give it to you. I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
No one, like I said, no one's going to like ring me. Like when I first started, no one was ever going to say, hey, Michael, I heard you want to be an auctioneer. Come and call my auction. Mate, it was a lot of rejection. It's like being in school again with the girls. A lot of rejection, a lot of knockbacks.
Yep.
But you know what? You keep hitting the ground enough times, eventually you will strike oil.
Yep.
You cannot miss all the time. You just can't.
Yeah. And that's what some of these real estate agents doing so well right now, right? Let's call it Josh Teston, for argument's sake. Let's call it Dib.
Yeah.
When they first started, they were door knocking every house
Corey
around.
Skibberus, Blage from Blaze Real Estate. There's no secret to it, mate. They just work hard.
Yeah.
And they just work harder and are willing to outwork their competition.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what we want.
There's no secret to life.
Yeah.
Mate, you get what you give, and hard work always wins out. Like, it's good to be lucky.
Yep.
But hard work,
you need luck. You need luck.
Even like you look at sports people, you look at talent. Talent will only get you so far. Yes, there are people who are like the Lionel Messis, the Michael Jordans, the Cristiano Ronaldos, the Maradonas, talent.
Right.
But it'll only get you so far.
Yeah,
if you don't put in the effort, you ain't running. You're not beating. Like Usain Bolt was quick.
Yeah.
But if he didn't train, he was never getting the world record.
Yeah, 100%. So you're a soccer man by the sounds of it.
I'm a football man.
Football man, sorry, I didn't that. Oh my God, I got stabbed. You got stabbed there. Football man.
Football and Formula One.
They're
probably my two sports.
So who's the team?
Juventus.
Yes.
I mean, I grew up watching the great Roberto Baggio in the early 90s.
Okay.
And Juventus and Ferrari, man. I'm Italian background. Who else am I going to go
You got Hamilton coming next year,
yeah,
mate.
I'm looking forward to that.
Hey?
I got a lot of love for Lewis.
Right.
Got a lot of love for
you know
Lewis.
what, mate? They didn't have a good race on the
Double
Canadian
DNF in Canada, mate. Double DNF.
That was a killer.
Yeah, I know.
That was a killer. I was staying up watching that race.
Bad strategy too. Some bad strategical calls, particularly with Leclerc, to put him out on the slicks when it's raining.
Yeah.
I know. You know what I say? And again, I can say this with my background. The problem with Ferrari, they're run by too many Italians. Because you look about Ferrari, and I grew up with the Schumacher, right? Yep. You had John Tott, a Frenchman, running the show.
Yep.
You had Ross Brawn, an Englishman who was the engineer, and you had a German in Michael Schumacher.
Yeah.
Keep the Italians away because I think sometimes the emotion takes over, mate, and the brains and the strategy, because there's just so many calls you look at, go, what were you guys thinking?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. Mate, so you've had a few calls in real estate in your life, obviously.
A few
auctioneer calls,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
I don't know the count, but it'd be up there.
Mate, obviously you get some hagglers.
Oh, yeah.
Every now and then, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
I'm sure, like my industry, we get hagglers.
Yeah.
Mate, have you ever wanted to take a swing at one of them, mate?
Oh, look, there's been some people that have been clever or cheeky, and I don't mind it.
Yep.
But there's been some people that have been flat out rude.
Okay.
As much as you'd like to say or do something, you've got to understand that what you're doing and who you're representing, and just keep calm, stay professional, don't take it personal. And at the end of the day, I'm the guy that can probably, with a bit of thick skin, take it. It doesn't bother me, you know? I'll just let them do what they want, because eventually, the more they go on about acting in that manner, the people around them will react in a certain way, and eventually I think they'll just become embarrassed. Yeah.
Good.
But yeah, like human nature, in the back of your mind, you go, oh mate, if I, you know, you know that they're taking advantage of the situation, because they probably know that you're very limited to what you can come back with. But they can say whatever they want.
Yeah. Give me one example. Or give me one story. Give me one little story at least.
I remember I had one guy who really got under my skin. I didn't make him know that, but he was just saying things like, oh, what is it, your first auction? Oh, you don't know what you're doing. Oh, this is a joke. This is a circus. You're a clown. Okay, whatever. Like, just constant abuse.
Yeah.
And I just, doesn't matter. He didn't bite at the end of the day. Strategy didn't work. He didn't throw me off. You know, he didn't throw me off.
Mate, you have thick skin, don't you?
Yeah, you do to a certain... Mate, most people, 99% are beautiful.
Yep.
But there's always that, as I said, that exception to the rule.
Yeah. So you auctioneer in all different areas across Sydney. And mate, you probably have the best helicopter view out of everyone.
I like to say I got my finger on the pulse. Yeah,
you got
definitely.
Right, because you see what's coming ahead, and you see data at the beginning and before, right?
Yep.
So what are you seeing? What's your outlook towards the end of the year?
Okay, so we're going into July. Now, I don't work in January. When I say I don't work, I I called next to no auctions in January. Why? Between Christmas and Australia Day, not many people run auction campaigns, right?
Yep.
So January is my quietest month.
Yep.
Followed by July. So if you look at it as from a working month,
Okay.
right? And you look at all my years laid over the top of each other, even during COVID, the great boom, July was my quietest month.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
you've got, which I think is not, the reasons why people might say because of winter, school holidays, daylight saving, I disagree with. Because again, supply demand, if the demand is there, I'd rather sell in isolation when I've got less competition. Like think about it. Why wait till spring, till everyone else jumps on the market? But herd mentality, we're human, it's in our nature, it's not going to change. So I always see now, we're mid-June, I can always see July starting to slow down.
Okay.
You know, so and that's fine. July, and again, short memories, everyone starts whinging. Oh, it's quiet. Oh, there's less auctions. Oh, there's not a lot of property. My pipeline's dried up. July's always your quietest month.
Yep.
That's my experience, right?
Well, do you know why that is, Pat?
Again, for those reasons I just mentioned.
All right.
And again, people going on winter vacations, going to Europe, chase the sun as well. Because if you are going to go to Europe,
Yep.
our summer's December, January. You'd be
Yep.
mad to leave Australia. So when you're going to go to Europe in the Northern Hemisphere, well, that's their
Yep.
summer now.
Yep.
That's the warmer time.
Yep.
So that's probably another reason as well that people do go away and they have those distractions as well. So it's a culmination of things. Yeah, probably, overseas travel, school holidays, winter, no daylight saving. That's probably it. And, people have this thing, oh, the garden's not looking good. Like, man, I'm not paying more because your roses are in full bloom, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah,
all good.
That's what I was going to ask you, right? Because some people think it's seasonality. Winter.
It is.
Summer,
It is.
spring.
It is seasonality. Is it seasonality for the right or the wrong reasons? Well, everyone can be the judge. I think right property, right price, winter, rain, hail or shine.
Yep.
I've done auctions where I'm singing in the rain, absolutely drenched. I looked at a photo back recently. I did an auction. I don't know if it was in Green Valley. As soon as I started calling the auction, I was in the rain. At the end of the auction, my jacket and my pants were a different colour because my pants were still kind of dry and my jacket was fully soaked.
Yeah.
They still bought it.
Right,
They still stayed there. They still bid. So rain, hail or shine doesn't matter.
Yeah, cool.
Anyway, the answer to your question, between now and the end of the year, I think things will slow down in July. I think at the back end of August they'll pick up and I think there'll be a mad dash as there always is because everyone thinks come the end of December, the world will end, which it doesn't, but that's just the mentality.
It's crazy.
It's milestones. So I'm going to get it done by Christmas. I'm going to get it done. I've got to get it done because I want to go away and put my feet up for Christmas. I don't want to worry, which is fair enough.
Yep.
You don't want to be on the holidays on realestate.com while you're on a beach somewhere in Fiji looking at new listings. You just, at the end of the day, as much as price is a driving factor, you're moving for a reason. Upsizing, downsizing, birthday. You just want it done. No one likes moving house. It's an absolute headache.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You just want it, you military, but you just want to get in and out as quickly as possible.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So maybe that's what I'll see in terms of auction volume. In terms of where the market will go, again, not financial advice.
Yep.
I think it will be steady as she goes. I think interest rates won't go up or down. I think that probably is off the table now. I think the US last night came out and said, I think they were thinking, before the most recent meeting, 3 rate cuts. Now they're saying maybe one.
Maybe one.
Yep. So I think we'll be steady as she goes, depending on what inflation does. Because inflation, all right, it's gone up 2 months in a row. But hang on, guys, it's gone up 0.1% 2 months in a row. That's to me, that's all good.
Yeah, no, that's not make sure.
That's negligible.
Yep.
Like interest is not. Yes, it's on the rise, inflation. But if it jumped from 3.5 to 4, I'd be worried.
Yeah, 100%.
But 3.5, 3.6, 3.6, might go 3.5, 3.6, steady as she goes. And I think interest rates will remain on hold. And I think property prices will be, look, they might go up 1%, 2% between now and the end of the year. Maybe they'll go up 0.5% every month. Call it 3%. What's the catalyst for the market to either take off? I don't see one. Or to tank? I don't see one. So I think it's just going to be a bit of sideways movement. Maybe slightly up because property prices generally always go up.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't think we're going to see a mad dash. Yeah.
And what do you see with the buyers market right now? Like, what's the sentiment?
Yeah, mate. There's the buyers I'm seeing are they're buyers are always fussy. They can afford to be fussy because if it's steady as she goes, if the market's not running away from them at a rate of knots, they do have time on their side. Are we good for time? They do have time on their side where I'm not going to mention his name for his privacy, But there was a buyer, and God bless him, he bought recently, and I'm really happy for him because I called the auction. For 6 months, I saw him at my auctions, and he was just waiting for the right one.
Yep.
Now, you could argue in the last 6 months, it's jumped, a little bit, he's paid a little bit more. But he's not paid 10%, 5% more.
Yep.
He might have paid 1%, 2%, 3% more.
Yep.
But they're waiting for the right property. So I think the buyers, they talk about A grade property and B grade and C grade, but let's just say they're looking for the right floor plan, the right location, the right school catchment. They want the right block size, the right aspect, whatever you want to call it. They're not having that fear of missing out, which we saw in COVID. There's not, if I don't buy now, I'm going to miss out. That fear's not there. It's like, if I don't get this one, there's more coming. It's okay. Steady as she goes. Yeah. So they're there. Like the auctions that I'm doing that aren't selling, it isn't because the market's not there.
Right.
It's either they're overpriced,
Right.
or the property, let's just say, has an issue with it. What's an issue, Michael? It's flood affected.
Right.
It has this massive easement running through
Right.
it, or it has a sewer, or there's something about it that is like, you know what? If I was in dire straits and needed to move and buy a property, right? But I don't want to make those compromises just even on price. I've got the budget. I'm happy to pay 200 grand less, but I'd rather pay 200 grand more and get what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Right. What I say to some of my clients is, look, yes, you might be paying 10, 20, 30 grand overs, but that's going to be your own occupied for the next 10 years. You get something what you want.
Exactly right.
Right?
10, 20, 30 grand over. Look, we say that maybe flippantly, which is wrong, because 20, 30 grand is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
In anyone's language. But let's bring it down to percentages. If you're spending $2 million, 20 grand's 1%. So if you're 99% of the way there, what?
Yeah.
It's worth 2 million, but it's not worth 2 million and 20?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
guys, don't be the guy or the girl that sits on the sidelines and just watches the market pass you by. Because at the end of the day, you'll be the smartest person in the cemetery paying rent. That paid rent, that never owned.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you look at, since Federation 1901, World War One, World War Two, the Korean War, if I got that right, in the 50s, whatever it was, Vietnam War, then the Middle Eastern wars, the war on terror. Now we've got war in the Ukraine. In the Middle East, back again with what's going on. I'm not trying to get political, Roy. I'm saying you look at all the turmoil, all the conflict, all the different governments, all the different interest rates, back to the late 80s, early 90s. What's the property prices done?
Yeah.
If you look at the graph, which way have they gone?
That's right.
So have a bit of confidence that no matter what I do here, if I hold on to this long term, chances are I'm going to be in front.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Worst case scenario, I'm going to make money here.
I agree with you.
Worst case scenario, I'm going to make money here.
I agree with you.
Can I afford the holding cost? That's another question.
Exactly.
That's another question.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like people right now, right? Got $1 million loan.
Yeah.
Can afford that 2%,
Yeah.
6%. Hey man, you're stretching it right there. Right?
Yep.
So mate, look, you look at a lot of areas.
Yep.
And this is not financial advice, by the way, and telling you where to invest.
Yep.
What areas are you seeing that, that's undervalued?
Yep. This is we touched on this earlier when we spoke about the ponds. Oh, if I'd only known 10 years ago. Okay. What do you know now?
Yep.
Find the next ponds. And I again, not financial advice, and there's a lot of people out there that, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples. When I first started my career, I started doing auctions in Toongabbie.
Okay.
Toongabbie, just north of Parramatta.
Yep.
For those that don't know where Toongabbie is. Toongabbie was a sub $1 million suburb.
Yeah.
You didn't pay over $1 million in Toongabbie. Let me tell you now, you're not buying in Toongabbie for under $1 million, right? Okay. Unless you're buying an apartment.
Yep.
So we're talking about freestanding, Torrance title, red brick homes on 600 squares. Generally in Toongabbie now, under $1 million, I've not seen it.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sure someone will text me and say, oh, I found this. But anyway. So where's the next ponds? Where's the next Toongabbie? Now, I look at Liverpool. And I know that, okay, you look at, where's the next geographical area? Now, Liverpool is the LGA, the local government area for the Aerotropolis.
Okay.
For Western Sydney Airport, which is coming, which has changed the fortunes of the suburbs out there, like Austral, like Leppington, like Rossmore. But they've probably done their dash, where you're getting now, you're not getting into Bitcoin in 2004,
Yeah.
if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're paying overs. So I look at these other suburbs that surround Liverpool, which let's call them the ugly ducklings, but I think have the potential to be the swan, the beautiful swan in terms
in the long term.
In the long term,
yeah.
Places like Busby, places like Sadleir, places like Heckenberg, places like Miller, and I can hear everyone through the cameras going, "Oh, I wouldn't buy there." Yeah. But let me tell you, in 1981, when my dad bought in Concord, you know what my grandfather said to him? I wouldn't have bought there. All the way over there in Concord, they were living 5 dock.
Yep.
On the other side of Canada Bay, why would you buy there? What a dump. What a dump.
Yeah.
40 years later,
Yep.
you got to have that. You got to have that. You got to think, don't look at those Busbys, Millers, Heckenbergs, Sadleirs now, because they're cheap.
Yep.
Nothing's cheap in Sydney. Comparatively to the surrounding suburbs, only within 5 kilometres, they're significantly, I think, undervalued. You can get in now at a good price, then I think in the fullness of time you'll be rewarded. Because Liverpool will just grow, just like Parramatta has. Parramatta was always playing second fiddle to Sydney. Let me tell you, Parramatta will probably be the city of the, by 2050 in terms of size, in terms of area, in terms of location, because you'll only go to the Sydney for the selfies and the photographs, for Vivid, for the Opera House, for the Harbour Bridge. You won't go there to do business because you don't need to.
Yeah, 100%.
Parramatta will take over, I think. And I think Liverpool is probably the next, like that southwest hub, because it's not about what is north of Liverpool, because they can go to Sydney, they can go to Parramatta, but you start coming down to the what's it called? The Campbelltowns, the Camdens, the Oran Parks, and those places. That's their largest city for them. That's the big smoke.
Yep.
So I think if you can have a suburb surrounding that, you're going to look like Toongabbie is to Parramatta.
Yep.
Because Toongabbie was another area, Aboriginal by the way, for place of meeting water. Flood affected again, and there's those things like that have impacted its value over time. Funny fact too, Toongabbie is one of the oldest settlements in Australia.
Right.
So when they landed and they went inland, Toongabbie was where they landed, and you look it up on Wikipedia. I'm sure I did the research on it once upon a time. It was one of the oldest. And that's what I'm saying. That those areas that I just spoke of around Liverpool are also flood affected. Okay. Don't get me wrong. Okay, and that's has a certain stigma. But again, I just think that they are undervalued. I think there is opportunity there.
Yeah, because exactly what you just said just then, right? Because that area becomes too expensive, it's blown up, but you start trickling down to the suburbs surrounding it.
Correct.
Right?
Well, you look at me, and let's say I'm Kellyville, North Kellyville, and then I'm the Ponds, and then I'm Kellyville Ridge. All of a sudden, these are all too expensive. You talked about Josh Tesselin. Where was Quakers Hill 5 years ago? Mate. Where was Beaumont Hills? No, Beaumont Hills there, but like in terms of price point, Quakers Hill now, mate, they're getting $1.5 million plus.
Correct.
Easy.
Correct.
Easy.
Correct.
If I told you that 10 years ago, you would have laughed at me. Quakers Hill, and then what about Stanhope Gardens, and what about Park Lee? Acacia Gardens.
Even Acacia Gardens, that's
it's not cheap anymore.
That's right.
And I'm saying those suburbs for me, I think in 10 years they'll say, wow, look at Busby, look at Miller, look at Sad, look at Hecker, look at those places around that Liverpool greater area. Yeah.
Because that's not really, because even though it's developed around the area, it's not really developed, is it?
It's not oversaturated.
Right.
You go to Liverpool, you actually drive into the city of Liverpool, you can count maybe on 2 hands how many high rises there are. They stand out. Where Parramatta was like that, because I jump on the M4 and I head west, and I can see now Parramatta, high rise, Meriton this and whatever that.
You
go to Liverpool in 10 years, there'll be high rise again. Trust me, it'll happen.
So guys, not financial advice, not financial advice.
You look at Times Square. You ever seen that time lapse? Times Square when they first started to what it is now. You look at Sydney. It becomes a concrete jungle. It'll happen because what's going to happen? We don't stop breeding. People don't populate. It's the immigration, the population. We're multiplying, guys. Rightly or wrongly, I'm not taking a view on it, but the population's only going one way. That's normal.
100%.
And guess what? Unless you want to go back to living in a cave, you want a roof over your head, you need a home.
Unless you move out west a bit more, mate.
You still need a home. You still need a home. Unless you can live on the street, you still need a home.
So, mate, we're talking about a lot about property, where to buy, what's a good hotspot, not financial advice, right?
No.
Any words of wisdom for our first-home buyers out there?
Stop looking, start living. What do I mean by that? Beg, borrow, steal, bite off more than you can chew, just get in. Get in. Get your foot in the door. And that is the hardest thing. The hardest thing is saving that first deposit. Right?
That's right.
That is the hardest thing. And then managing the debt in those first few years where the interest You look at your loan, you go, it hasn't moved in 5 years.
Yep.
Because the way it's geared, you pay the principal at the back end. The banks aren't silly. You can refinance. It's okay. You've not paid us. You've given us all interest. The banks aren't silly. The banks never lose, guys. You ever played Monopoly at the end? It all goes back to the banker. Okay? Anyway. So what I'm saying is just you do what you got to do, get in, right? And you'll find that you'll look back and you'll say, wow, we found a way. Somehow you find a way. Because if you look at it logically, and I've done it, I've been in the, looking at it and biting my fingernails off. And if I had gone down the logic route, I never would have bought my first home. I was like, I just can't afford it. We're going to be out in the street. If things go bad, what if they don't? And here's another good word of wisdom, right? That I would, bite off more than you can chew and chew like buggery. All within reason. You say that with a grain of salt. But, have a go. Have a crack. Fortune favours the brave. Here's another good word of wisdom I was given. Imagine your wealth as water in a bathtub. Okay, the bathtub's full. Full of water. That's your wealth. You're married, you got your first kid on the way, and you've saved. You've been a good little saver. Now you're about to buy your first property. Someone's about to pull the plug, right? And all the water's draining out. And you're freaking out. Like, no, don't take my water. Don't take my water. Like, it's, that's my, it's taking me so long. That's my baby. Don't get it wrong. What you forgot is your ability to earn an income. And what do I mean? The tap's still running. The tap's still running. As long as you can work, and this is why your health is your most important thing, and earn an income, right? Because you're basing what you can do on your income now. Let me tell you, I've been working since I was 9 years old. My wage has only gone one way, whether that's through inflation, opportunity, ability. But as you get older, you will generally, all things being equal, make more money. You and your partner. And you're basing these decisions on the bare minimum that you're making now, not noticing that who didn't get a pay rise since COVID? You went through all the professions. Who didn't get a pay rise?
100%.
They're still getting them now.
100%.
My wife's a school teacher. They got one. The nurses got one. The fireys got one. The police got one. I put my fee up. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, and again, if you're in your early 20s and you're looking at, like, because when you first leave university and you get your first job, you're on the lowest income that you're ever going to be 100%. On. It's only going to go up. So just remember that. That the bathtub going empty is not the end of the world. The tap's still running.
Very good. Very good. So, Mr. MG, for the audience out there, they would like to get in touch with you. How can they get in touch with you?
Well, look, you jump on my social media. You jump on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Twitter, whatever it's called. My name, my number, my email's there. As you've probably noticed, I love a chat. Ask my wife. Shutting me up's the hard part. So I love to talk. And it doesn't have to be about, I've got an auction to book in. Like I say to a lot of my clients, and I say to a lot of people, if you just want to talk, if you want advice, I'm happy to have a chat. I'm happy to tell you. I don't have all the answers. I'm not Einstein. But I've been doing this a while. I know what kind of works and what doesn't. And experience is the only thing you can't buy in the supermarket. So tap into that experience. Call me. When I need help, guess who I call? I call Damien. Damien Cooley has been a great mentor to me, over the years. And, not only in auctioneering and real estate, but just in life, in business.
100%.
And what would he's been there, he's done that, he's made the mistakes. Okay? You don't know what you don't know. So give us a call.
Mate, are you going to do a block auction one day, mate? Or
I don't know if they'll ever call me, but if they do, I'll be on the first plane down to Melbourne.
Tell Damien to step aside, buddy. Tell him to step aside, mate.
He's good at what he does. Damien, and again, obviously we're business partners. Damien has this X factor, and people always ask me, what is it about Damien? He just gets you more. How? That's the X factor. That's the reason he is as good as what he does. He just gets, and I learn from him, don't be wrong, but he just, all things being equal, he just gets you more. And that's why he's the best.
So guys, I'll be dropping down all Michael's details here so you can find him a lot easier. So buddy, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me. Been good.
Great chat with you, and we hope you see you next time.
Yeah, mate. Always looking forward to it.
Lovely. See you, buddy.